Alrighty, I think we're good to go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome. We are very excited today to launch our Universal Interop Gateway that connects any SIP video endpoint to all Google, Zoom, and Microsoft Teams meetings. I am Maria, and I will be your host for today. There are different ways to get in touch with us. Should you need more information or just say hi, email us. We're also available on all social media platforms. We go by Synergy Sky on all of them. We're also very active on LinkedIn, so definitely check us out there. For all our partners, we have a partner portal on our website, the login of which you can get from your Synergy Sky representatives. It's a one-stop shop for everything you would need and know about our solution. We also offer a free trial of our solution, so you can try it out and see how it works in your environment. The agenda for today. We will begin with a quick introduction of Synergy Sky, who we are, what we do, our vision for the future, and how we have been connecting video meetings across platforms for more than a decade. We will dive into the topic of interoperability and why it is here to stay. We'll look at some demos for Google Meet and Zoom, our two new additions. And lastly, we have a Q&A, so feel free to shoot us your questions and we'll take them up at the end. A quick moment for our fantastic speakers for the day. We have Mark and Tor, who will walk us through the rest of this session, and Stoller and Egil will join us at the end for the Q&A. Each of these gentlemen have over more than 30 years of experience in the video conferencing industry, so you guys are in great hands. Mark, over to you.
Thank you, Maria, for that great introduction. I also like to thank all of the participants who've joined us today. Really appreciate that. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. Synergy Sky is all about connecting meetings. It's our passion. It's why we get out of bed in the morning. And it's basically the topic of what we're going to talk about today. We don't necessarily care about what type of meetings we get you into. We just want to make sure that the user experience is simple, quick, and consistent. And really, that's what we've been doing since 2008, when the company was first founded in Oslo. Over the past 15 years, we've had millions of happy customers that use our products to join, control, connect, and analyze all types of meetings. We're a global company with people in Europe, Asia, Africa, and obviously in the Americas. We have partnerships with Cisco and Microsoft, which we'll talk a little bit about in a little bit now. And most importantly, our products are available by subscription exclusively through our trusted global partner community. For those of us who are familiar with Synergy Sky, you'll remember that last year we announced and released the Synergy Sky Connect service. The Connect service is a gateway that joins your SIP endpoints to a Microsoft Teams meeting. For those of you who are new to Synergy Sky, I've actually teed up a quick little video here to showcase the Connect experience and what it looks like. To set the stage, what you'll see is a Cisco endpoint join a pre-scheduled Teams meeting via our Synergy Sky Connect service. You'll notice two other participants, and in that you'll see interactions with the endpoint touch panel, like raise hands, roster lists, and you'll also be able to check out some participants using some advanced team features like whiteboarding and PowerPoint Live, and what they look like through the service. As I start this video, you'll quickly notice that the touch panel is displaying a green button. Once the user taps that green button, the endpoint starts dialing. The dial button is actually provisioned and pushed to the endpoint by the Synergy Sky system. Now, as you see the dial happening, you'll see Paulo is already connected and in the call. The endpoint user consults the touchscreen to check the roster list to see if any other participants have arrived. Additionally, we can raise and lower hands, and as you see on the screen, that's where that shows up. And this allows for the endpoint to fully engage with a Microsoft Teams meeting. When a third participant joins from their laptop using Microsoft Teams web client, you'll quickly see that endpoint have that experience with the join. Now you see the user trigger an advanced whiteboarding session that is making its way to the main screen of the SIP endpoint through the Synergy Sky Connect service. Notice that the whiteboard is up and any edits that are performed are showing up on both the laptop and the endpoint screen. Without missing a beat, you see both the participant grab a PowerPoint from their machine, and now what you see is the PowerPoint Live make its way from the laptop to the SIP device for a seamless experience. Most importantly, while this interaction is happening, everyone is maintaining the similar and identical Microsoft Teams visual experience. As many of you know, this is a solution that's been on the market for a little over a year now. That includes Synergy Connect for Government, which, as we all know, allows for GCC, GCC High, or any cloud from public to Impact Level 5 to connect to Microsoft Teams. And most importantly, is that we have a product that is developed and has been operating according to sound processes and procedures. This is why we've invested in the ISO 27001 certification, which we received last year. We also take information protection very, very seriously. And we're GDPR compliant in order to regulate the way in which we can use, process, and store personal data. We have a partnership with Cisco through the Cisco Solutions Plus partnership, and that allows our product to be purchased through the Cisco Commerce Workplace, or CCW, for those of us in the know. And this is an important one, we're actually officially certified to push buttons to Cisco endpoints. We're also a Microsoft partner. Making our solution available on the Azure Marketplace. And last but not least, a little bit of boasting here, our solution was awarded the Product Innovation Award by Frost & Sullivan in 2002. So let's talk a little bit about interoperability. So why is interoperability important? Well, to me, interoperability is all about simplicity. Now, obviously, interoperability from a pure definition perspective is all about making things work together. Well, that might be easier said than done, especially when we start looking at a slide such as this one, which kind of encompasses what our industry is over time. If you look at the slide, you see a lot of names that you probably recognize. On the top are vendors and meeting platforms. Below, you see a lot of corresponding technologies. The first of which is the evolution of the Cisco platform. Give or take, you see the Tandberg endpoints and the WebEx web conferencing solution, which both came to Cisco via acquisition. You also see Jabber, Spark, WebEx Teams, and finally WebEx to round out that journey. On the Microsoft side, you also have all the products that have gotten them so far. I know a number of us do remember Live Communication Server, or LCS, obviously Lync, Skype for Business, and obviously Teams, that is now very, very prominent in the industry. Below that, you also see a similar journey when it comes to the protocols. On the protocol side, we've all had a journey from the H323, which is migrated over to more of a SIP world, to now being paralleled with WebRTC. What this actually shows us is that change is really the only constant. And I do admit that is very much cliche, but new vendors are joining the collaboration game every day. And the established vendors are significantly changing platforms every 3 to 5 years. So what does this mean if you're a typical user? Well, it means you'll need a significant number of apps on your phone, tablet, or computer to keep pace. This can be quite the challenge, and I imagine the stress of joining all of these platforms, or some of these platforms, when you have an endpoint like I do in front of me here, that moment of trepidation when you have to try to figure out how to get into those meetings. We don't have to get into all the details of how we got to this place, but in 2023, we really shouldn't have to care about all the different ways of joining a meeting. And that's why when we look at it specifically, we look at some of the most common platforms. Here we have Teams, Zoom, Google, and potentially any other meeting platform. If you take a look at these in terms of access points, we see that most have a PC client, a mobile client that is usually quasi-proprietary or proprietary. And what I mean by that is a certain service doesn't necessarily let that client actually register to WebEx or Zoom, etc. So they're not cross-pollinating in that kind of way. They usually have a way of getting a telephone into their service, which is quite common. Some actually have dedicated hardware, such as Zoom rooms or MTRs, that allow them to gain access. But one common denominator is the web browser. And that web browser is there to interface all the time. And we saw just an example of that. So when it comes to the web browser, this is what we focus on at Synergy Sky. We've developed a platform that brings SIP endpoints through the Connect service into the web browser interface of that target platform. Now, why is this a viable solution? Well, the web browser is utilizing a lot of different standards. You have the World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C, which is a standard, and WebRTC, which is being developed on, supported, and used by the main players in the industry. On the other hand, you have SIP, which has been ratified, call it 20 years ago, by the IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force, which is also considered a standard. So what we are doing here is using the existing standards in order to bring SIP endpoints into Teams, Google, Zoom meetings, and potentially any other meetings that have a platform that accept a web browser interface. So what we bring to the collaboration user is, instead of having 50 or so different apps on their phone or laptop to join a meeting, they can use their favorite email client to book a meeting, to invite endpoints, and join those meetings from a consistent and easy press of a button, which many call our green button the fastest in the industry. And your SIP endpoints are added easily and efficiently to any Teams, Zoom, or Google meeting. So with that, I am proud to announce the support for Google and Zoom in the existing Synergy Connect service. Tor, would you like to take us through the details of the announcement?
Thank you, Mark. As mentioned, this is a very exciting day for us. We have been working on this gateway since the early 2019s, and already from day one of the key things we were focusing on is multi-vendor or multi-platform support. And I would like to say that finally we have reached a place where we have more than one platform support, and we can show it to all of you. We're going to show you two videos as demonstrations of this. The first video will be showcasing how a meeting room is joining a Google Meet conference. The second will be showcasing the same scenario, but in this case, the same meeting room will be joining a Zoom meeting. In both these scenarios, we have chosen an EX90, a bit because it's a fairly old system and stable and nice system from 2010. Before we show the videos, just like what do we expect in these videos? So we will first see Paolo joining the meeting from his laptop as a normal laptop user from the calendar of choice. We will then see that the system has gotten a green button, as Mark mentioned, and Paolo will then easily join from the touch panel of the EX90, join the same meeting, and we will see both users, the laptop user as well as the video system, joining the same meeting. So let's first have a look at the Google Meet scenario. The first step is the laptop user joining the conference, and you'll see the green button and the EX90 dialing its SIP URI. And when it's being connected, you will see the screen also indicating what type of meeting the EX90 is about to join, in this case the Google Meet. And there you go, both participants join the conference. And then again, we'll run the same scenario, this case with a Zoom meeting. The laptop user is joining, and the EX90 is dialing into the meeting. Bit different welcome screen to show that, indicating that it's a Zoom meeting they're joining. And again, both participants have joined their meeting. So now when we have seen a taste of how one gateway can help you join all your Google meetings, all your Zoom meetings, as well as all your Microsoft meetings in the previous video, let's briefly have a look at how this is achieved. So we have with the on-site calendar integration, we will process the meeting links in the calendars of your choice and turn these into what we call SIP URIs. A SIP URI is how we are addressing the SIP systems as well as addressing our Connect service in the cloud. These URIs are then appearing on the various video systems as green buttons. And when the time starts, these video systems will dial these URIs. Our patented technology will then allow these SIP video devices, which are located either at home or in your office locations, to have a standard SIP call into our Connect cloud, and the Connect cloud will then transform these calls on the fly so that they turn into WebRTC participants when joining the meeting platform. We now have then integrated two standards. One is the SIP standard on one hand, and on the other hand, the WebRTC browser standards, as Mark mentioned earlier. This again works with minimal interaction from the end user, and there is also really no need for training the end users here, as it already follows an established workflow. They schedule their meetings, they join their meetings, and then by giving this simplicity to the end user, every meeting starts the same way every time. Mark, back to you. Mark, do you unmute your...
Maybe that would help, wouldn't it?
Sometimes it does.
Long-time user, first-time caller. I was saying that not only does it help to understand the what, but also the how. Really allows us to galvanize what exactly is going on behind the curtain, if you will. And again, from an operations perspective, that is a huge portion of why this is important. Being able to commonize different platforms into one offering is, in my opinion, just game-changing. So thank you very much, Tor, for walking us through that. So a little bit on the why, if we break it down a little bit, what this basically means is a consistent user experience no matter the destination. From our perspective, a meeting is a meeting is a meeting. And what we achieve with this solution is to provide a single means in which to have a single, one consistent way to schedule, one way to join the meeting, and more importantly, you can share content in any way you want. You can send, receive bidirectionally, obviously. Obviously use wireless or cable, and or leverage HDMI or proximity on your Cisco endpoint. All of those are viable choices. They are not guesswork. If it's connected to your endpoint, you're in a position to leverage those assets. More importantly, there's no need to have a whole retraining exercise for people. There is no need to remember or cheat sheet a different workflow depending on what kind of meeting is going on. The technology, the fabric behind Synergy Connect actually takes care of that guesswork. You can actually keep your existing endpoints in service as you upgrade to newer and bigger and better. And basically think about expanding your video footprint as opposed to just replacing, which I think is a really, really interesting angle, given the fact that video has exploded in the past little bit here. So from an informational perspective, I know there's a lot of you who are interested in understanding how much extra this is going to cost you. Well, I'm happy to announce that for the existing Synergy Connect customers, this will not be costing you anything extra. And again, I repeat, for existing Synergy Connect customers, this will not cost anything extra. It's part of your current subscription. I think that is fantastic. Additionally, if you are new to Synergy Sky, we actually recommend that you reach out to your Synergy Sky sales representative or to one of the many trusted global partners. From a timing perspective, this will be available for beta in June, for demos and advanced testing, with general availability this summer. For our Connect for Government customers, can't forget you guys. Rest assured that this will be available for you within the same timelines. So again, timelines are beta version June, publicly available this summer. Connect for Government, same timelines. Very, very exciting. So before we move on to the Q&A portion of the program, we have one more little thing that we'd like to kind of discuss. Many companies have actually started asking us to provide SIP-based registration for their endpoints. So this may be because they're sunsetting their current architecture, or other scenarios might be that they are transitioning from one platform to another and require a registration to bridge gaps, etc. Although, as most people know, we are registration agnostic, and although we'll continue to be registration agnostic, if you have a registration solution that works for you and is all good, then great, stick with that. If you have a registration solution that doesn't work for you, or otherwise you require a registration element for your infrastructure, we are happy to announce that SIP registration for all public cloud customers through the Synergy Sky Connect program. Again, like our extra Zoom and Google integrations, these features will be available at no extra cost. And like our extra Zoom and Google integrations, they will be available. This will be available at summer timeframe. So what this means is that Synergy Sky now provides a full and complete solution with calendar integration, conference control, analytics, interoperability, and SIP registration. Everything that one would need in order to run a successful implementation. With that, let's handle a few questions.
Thank you, Mark.
So
yeah, Tor?
I'll start off with the first question. That's okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's on, there's a generic questions on quality impact and latency. We are matching the resolution size on both sides in order to minimize the quality impact from a resolution and frame rate point of view. Latency is an interesting topic. We do deploy in close proximity to the major vendors, meeting platforms as such. And we also make sure that we don't send the traffic in a back and forth type of manner, so that they go from device to as close to where we are, as close to the end place. So the added latency is kept at a very minimum.
Yeah. Good. Then we have another question here, which is a question regarding if there is an option for on-premise gateway deployment, or must Synergy Cloud be used? Well, we do have an on-premise offering, which we are named today Synergy Sky Connect for Government. which is today specifically deployed at governmental customers, which is the same product as we offer in the cloud, but we haven't expanded that to enterprise yet. I think in the specific matter, you can contact salesperson and get some more insight about it. Yeah, and we also have another question there, which is in regards to what is the difference between Synergy Sky Connect and WebEx Edge for Devices, where WebEx Edge for Devices is our endpoints that actually utilize a WebRTC engine in the endpoint and allow us to connect into a Teams or a Zoom meeting by using the WebRTC. And technology-wise, we are about the same, I would say, which is also really, really good thing, because it means that the standardization around the web browser is becoming more a standard than just a casualty. So the more and more endpoint that start using it, the better it is. But the biggest upside you have with the Synergy Connect in general is that, first of all, it will work with all the endpoints. So we can use an AX90, or we can use older or different kind of endpoints or brands. You don't need any specific web browser inside. And then there's also the security aspects. Running the web browser inside the meeting room requires a meeting room basically to have at least port opening range, which are closer to a working laptop, etc. But it's still a shared device, so there is a certain security aspect into it. While using the Connect service, you're just using a regular SIP connectivity out with a predefined pathway basically through your network. And then, of course, some of the endpoints do lack of a newer browser, and this is, of course, things that changes over time, but browser technology is a bit demanding, and sometimes you might end up having a browser or tech that can't be upgraded, so there will be it will basically be different from case to case, but as an example is like whiteboarding and solutions or different that teams are offering is maybe not necessarily available other places, or presentation sharing might not be available other places, etc. While in the Synergy Connect you have basically the full feature set. So, but in general, it's kind of the same, but this is basically a better solution for large deployment and also for deploying it out there, and it will work from day one.
Yeah, and we only have one deployment to upgrade version.
Yeah.
Whereas all these endpoints, they would have to be upgraded individually when there's a new version of the browser available.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it kind of recurs a bit back to the security aspect, because the browser technology is moving fairly hasty forward, and we are tracking the Chromium of a few versions behind the most recent, but we're very current, so we are always adapting to whatever is happening out there in the browser world, which is a fast-moving canvas. But I think that's about it about that.
Tore, can you take the next?
I can do. So on calendar processing. So calendar processing is takes place on site, what we mean on customer site, with our management suite deployment. That one is connected to then the customer's calendar and are processing the calendars. The SIP URIs are then made available for the various meetings. I can also continue on there's also a question here on H323. So the gateway itself do not support H323, but we do support the various what's called traversal solutions out there that does a conversion from H323 to SIP. That we have tested, and that works very well.
Another question regarding the SIP registration. Does the SIP registration has a mean to facilitate PSTN calling? For now, that is not part of any roadmap or any discussion we have had. It's a pure video conferencing solution for now, meant to supply a registration service to meeting rooms, facilities, and desktop systems. Yeah. Another question regarding the Zoom part. Does it work with Zoom Personal? Yes, we are using the web RTC entrance, and that works with Zoom Personal with the limitations of 45 minutes. I think it's on the Zoom Personal room, or if you have a purchased account, then of course it will be out limitations, but it will work the same way. There is no difference there.
I think that's a very good point, because we should have probably stressed that harder. One of the key value points with the Connect service is that you can connect previously into every Teams meeting. It wasn't limited to the meetings you organized yourself, but you could connect to any Teams meeting you received an invite to, even to public Teams if you were in FedRAMP and vice versa. Now with Zoom, you will be able to connect to any Zoom meeting, also those that don't have the CRC information, and the same goes for Google. So with the Connect service, you will be able to connect to all Zoom, Google, and Teams meetings, no matter who organized them.
Yeah, Tor, can you move on with regarding the dual screen?
Yeah, I can do that. So currently, we don't support dual screen in the way that you get presentation on one screen and the main video on another screen. This is also a bit onto the meeting platforms that not all of them support that through their WebRTC interface at the moment. So that is something that belongs to the future a bit, and we will investigate that going forward also whenever it becomes available on the meeting platforms.
But when you're sharing from the room, you will see your own presentation on screen number 2, and you will see the participants on screen number 1. And there's a question regarding PowerPoint Live. So that's a Teams question. So PowerPoint Live is a feature that is about 2 years old. It was introduced into the Teams solution 2 years ago. It's not presentation sharing or video sharing per se, as we're used to in the video world. It's application sharing. So it falls into the same bucket as whiteboarding. And there are some interop solutions out there that don't support application sharing because they're built for traditional video sharing. However, Microsoft has integrated PowerPoint Live and whiteboarding into the web client. And since we integrate with the web client via a standards-based interface, we also support application sharing like PowerPoint Live and whiteboarding. And that's really the beauty of integrating with the web client, because whenever Zoom, Google, Teams introduce new features, then as long as they're supported in the web client, they will be supported in Connect.
We have a question here regarding if there is any chance of having SIP registration for on-prem customers. Not 100% sure, but if you're asking if you're going to come out with an on-prem variant of the SIP registrar, then that's not part of any plan right now. And there is quite many products out there that can do the SIP registration in general. But we will offer it as a cloud service, purely as a cloud service. But of course, it will work with customers having on-prem equipment. So it's but we will not have a SIP registrar as a product for on-prem. That's not the plan right now. Yeah, we also have another question. If SIP registration includes H323 as well, lots of Asian customers still on H323, and that would be a bit up for debate and discussion, and we would be very interested in getting in touch and discuss the use case and understand a bit around The potential is not a definitive no, but it's a fairly legacy tech, so it will probably involve some kind of a conversion technology. But let's please contact your sales representative, and we will be open for discussion.
There is a question here regarding Pexip and the latest announcement on SIP guest join. So the SIP guest join that is being released by Microsoft into the CVI program will be available for all the CVI partners. And it's still using the CVI technology with all the limitations in the CVI technology. So yeah, I guess that's what I have to say about that. So that's based on CVI, and for instance, application sharing is not supported.
Another question regarding invite from external invites. Again, the Connect solution is working in tandem with the Synergy Sky suite, which is the on-prem component of this. And if you get an external invite from any of your partners or customers or even your friend, you can, if you're in Google Calendar, you can basically clone it into your meeting room, or if you're on Exchange or Office 365, you can just forward it to the meeting room. And that meeting link will be processed and automatically convert into a Connect call. So there is no need to do copy and paste or any advanced user flow here. You can basically have your end users using your calendar as you would regularly do, just to be able to allocate a meeting room.
And we in Synergy, we have seen that there is a small limitation in the forwarding mechanism of Microsoft Exchange, where in the default deployment, you don't get information about accept and reject when you forward someone else's invitation. And that's why we have improved upon that mechanism. So if you deploy Synergy Sky, then you will know if the person or the room that you forward to accepts or rejects your invitation. So that's an enhancement of the Microsoft Exchange Office 365 mechanism.
There's a specific questions on feature parity on X series. I would say yes, we are working on getting feature parity with as many devices as possible, and we will have to prioritize them according to what we see in the market. I would suggest to reach out directly to our sales representative on that one, so we can discuss rather a bit more what is the definition here on feature parity.
Another question regarding if it works on Teams Room devices. No, this is a SIP solution, and I'm tempted to say that once Logitech owned Lifesize, which makes SIP devices, so that could be one answer to it. But in general, you need SIP devices to connect in to Synergy Connect.
I think that's all the questions that have been asked. Did we address all of them? And if not,
No, we do have some more here, which as last questions here. What virtualization platform will be supported for premise deployments? Today we are supporting VMware, Hyper-V, but we are also running it successfully on KVM QEMU platform, which is the Linux virtualizer. But I think that is about the one we have the ability to test and execute on efficiently.
That was the last one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. AD.
Yeah.
Where does the calendaring processing take place? Right. So the Synergy Sky deployment is twofold. So if you go back to the slide that Tuid was presenting, you might remember that there was a component that is on premises, or let's call it self-hosted or single instance to the customer, meaning that the customer is in control of it. It's a single instance for the customer, either deployed on premises inside your own data center, virtually in a public cloud center with VPN, or maybe you can have a third party hosted for you. But that's where all the processing of the calendaring information takes place. The only thing that is shared with the Connect service is really the URL, the hyperlink to the meeting, and the time and date of the meeting. So anything else, the organizer information and meeting title and participants and so on, is still kept in the self-hosted installation of the Synergy Sky suite. Now, if you use the Connect cloud service, the media in the meeting, the audio and video, and the video, for instance, the presentation stream, will flow through the Connect service, the public Connect service. While if you have the Connect for Government, that will still be within your own premises. Anything else we missed?
Yeah, that coming up some new here. Maybe you remember this one.
Exchange NTLM. I think we still support NTLM. We did back in the days, but I don't know.
Even as authentication, we do support it. Yeah.
I think we'll have to go back to R&D and check and see if we still support NTLM on the exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. Please reach out to one of the sales engineers regarding that one. It has been supported for quite a long time, but to be completely honest, we need to double check on that.
Yeah, there is a question regarding lobby bypass, and lobby bypass is. My belief is that it's something that never would have been released by Microsoft if it was to be released today, because it's really a security hole. It kind of tells, it sets the standard that any room in the organization is a trusted device that can join any meeting without getting stopped in the lobby. And if you want to visit a company, you can't just waltz through the lobby even though you have an invite. You have to check in and get let into that building. And it's the same with meetings. Either you have secure meetings or you have open meetings. You can't just say that some rooms are, or all of your rooms are trusted, hence you trust anyone who accidentally popped by that room. So if you want to let people in to your meetings, have your phone or have your laptop with you, and then you have full control of who joins that meeting. And if you let a room in and you don't recognize the people that are in that room, kick them out again. That was the last question.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It looks like we're at 2 minutes to our deadline. So with that, I do want to thank all our participants for their time today. If you do need additional information, I know we did some call outs for getting back in touch with us for specific answers. But if you do need additional information, please reach out to our Synergy Sky sales representatives or our trusted Synergy Sky partners who are always available to help. If you are attending at InfoComm and or at Cisco Live, please reach out as well, because we'll be there. We'd love to talk to you. And with that, I want to wish everyone a great day, and thank you very much for joining. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.